I am. This discrepancy is of utmost importance to the case. I probably spent 2 minutes or so talking to the Baron. He took great interest in my camera. I see, but that still leaves 3 minutes. 2 minutes, perhaps, using the bathroom facilities?
Falcon, do you seriously expect us to sit here and listen to your nickel and dime, Monsieur?
I must agree, this is quite unnecessary. Please stop.
Dang it.
I already asked this. What to question then? Take a look at the photograph. Just to clarify, photographs are a direct reflection of reality, are they not? That is correct. The photograph process leaves no room for bias or inaccuracies. That is most curious because I see a mistake. A mistake? Impossible! I just told you, Monsieur, the camera is a perfect, unbiased device. This photograph it produces are flawless.
Falcon, I'm not seeing any mistakes. Perhaps you could be more specific.
Certainly. The clock in this photograph. There's something not right about it.
Well, isn't that convenient?
Don't give me that cocky tone, Monsieur Ruppington. I have evidence there's something wrong with the clock. Photograph clearly shows the clock hands pointing at 7 and 6.
That much is self-evident.
Which is most curious because the clock in the lounge of Chateau Crinier has no hands.
It has no hands?
The clock is merely a decorative piece, a talking item. Feel free to ask Baron Roguel or his housemaid if you have doubts. Monsieur Rabinino, how do you explain?
I don't know. It must be a mistake. My camera's flawless.
There's no mistake. Your photograph depicts something that did not exist in the real world. Maybe there was an error in the printing process? An error precisely where the clock's hand should be? Please, Monsieur, don't patronize us. Allow me to offer a more plausible explanation. You edited the photograph.
Edited it?
I'm no expert, but I suspect that you used paint or ink to carefully put hands on the clock. It would have been a simple task considering the clock face was bare. One could even speculate you specifically chose to include a handless clock just to simplify your editing process. Falcon, your reasoning isn't absurd. Why would a witness do such a thing? Is it not obvious? By showing the photograph to take place precisely at 7:30, it clears all photograph subjects of suspicion. In other words, he created a perfect alibi. Of course, this raises questions. Who is he protecting and why? Was he coerced, bribed, threatened? Enough silence, let's hear some answers! Fine, you've got me. I'm guilty, I did it all. You did it? You're confessing to the murder? What? No, I have no idea who killed him. I'm just admitting I'm guilty of producing fraudulent photographs. I was ordered to make changes. And that included adding hands to the clock. You were ordered? By whom? I dare not say. I strongly advise you to answer the defense's question. You have pledged to speak without fear, after all. I fear his claws more than I fear the punishment of the justice system. I shall name no names. Claws, did you hear that, Falcon? That is most unfortunate. We cannot and shall not torture names out of you. We don't live under ancient regime, after all. Once you have admitted to falsified evidence, then we cannot keep you on the stand as a witness. Take your leave. You shall be charged with perjury in due course. I can't protest. That's the least I deserve for my failure as an artist. Good day, messieurs.
So the clock's hands were painted on. So what? Doesn't matter. It still depicts Dame Cataline as absent close to the time of the murder.
Don't be dense, Monsieur Robertson. If the photograph is not completely genuine, it cannot be considered reliable evidence.
Why not? It's still a portrayal of a night's events.
Because if we accept that one part was edited, then we must accept that other parts were too. It's possible Dame Cataline was painted out. Even worse, it's possible another person was painted in. We know the witness was trying to cover for someone, so all possibilities must be accounted for.
What are you saying, Falcon? That the housemaid paid off the photographer, or was Signor Patois de Meow, perhaps?
I don't think so. The housemaid lacks a means or motive, and it wouldn't make sense for Signor Patois to implicate his own daughter.
Well, surely you're not suggesting that the honest and beloved Baron Regril deliberately tried to frame Dame Cataline? But that would be the most outlandish theory yet. The Baron is a pillar of a community. He would never do such a thing.
Monsieur Robington, I'm not here to throw out accusations. That's the job of you, the prosecutor. However, mayhaps I should offer my opinion.
But Baron, it's not time for your witness testimony.
So, you think the prosecutor, and yet I see my good reputation getting tarnished by your incompetence.
Incompetence?
Indeed. Let us proceed with witness questioning. Is that fine with you, Judge? I suppose that's fine. Very good. I trust the defense has no objections.
As a matter of fact,
tread carefully, Monsieur Falcon, or should I call you Inspector Vivi Kestrel? I hear that impersonating police officers is a major criminal offense. It would be a shame if word were to spread. No objections here. Please continue, Baron. Fantastic. Before I forget, I pledge to speak without fear, prejudice, etc., etc. Now, prosecutor, ask me about what I've witnessed.
Okay, Baron, night of
The initial dinner went magnificently. When the photographer arrived, Monsieur Grenouille left to visit the garden. Dame Cataline followed behind him moments later. Signor Petois, Monsieur Rabinio, and myself were engaged in conversation, so we paid her no mind. After the photographer had left, my housemaid left to go find Monsieur Grenouille and Dame Cataline. That would be when I heard her cry for help.
Thank you, Baron. I think we know the story from there.
I would like to cross-examine. Do you doubt my integrity, Garçon? I'm just here to uncover the truth, Baron. Very well then, hit me with your best shot. Let us establish with absolutely certain I am Baron Raguel, an honest man. The defense may proceed.
Select a statement.
Did it really go magnificently? Very well, ask away. The red herring. Earlier today we established that silver was stolen. Indeed, I'm aware who the culprit is, but I've decided not to press charges. It is curious you decided to serve steak. It isn't what we would describe as a finger food. I don't know about that, Falcon. With the right attitude, all food could be a finger food. There's nothing curious about it. Signor Petois and Dame Catalina are vocal lovers of rare steak. I was merely suiting their needs.
Besides, what choice did the Baron have? Serve vegetable broth like a common peasant?
Do be quiet, prosecutor. You sound ridiculous.
Sorry, Baron.
Do you have another question? But what about the fish? What about it? I'm not sure, but I feel it is of vital importance to the case.
Are you saying you wish to pursue the red herring?
Yes, I wish to closely examine and question the piece of evidence that is overtly labeled as a red herring. That is the type of bird that I am. I see a trail that clearly veers away from my goal, but I follow it anyway. Perhaps the path leads to better things, perhaps it leads to failure. What matters is that my curiosity is satisfied. That is funny. So it's clearly just put there to be a joke. You're a strange bird, Falcon. They're confused by your rambling, but they appreciate your honesty. I don't gain or lose any favor. That's really funny. So a red herring is like... I don't hear that term very often, but basically he said it's a term that means that you're going down a rabbit trail. And it's not really, it's just there to like kind of get you off track. No more questions about the dinner. Monsieur Grenouille. Yeah, let's ask him about that guy. God rest his soul. Why did he visit the garden? I believe he wanted some fresh air. The steak did not sit well with him. Oh, I see. That is quite coincidental timing, isn't it? How so? Well, he felt sick and left the room just after the photographer arrived and just before the murder occurred. One might draw a link between the food and the sickness.
Hold on, Falcon. Surely you aren't suggesting that Monsieur Grenouille's food was poisoned?
I am. The events are too closely tied to be mere coincidence. I'm no expert, but I think the steak would have been a perfect medium to carry a small amount of poison.
My word, what a revelation! But what evidence do you have? Bearing in mind, of course, the coroner found no signs of poison, and no poison was found.
Well, to be completely obvious, there's no hard evidence of poisoning, but we can speculate. No, we cannot. Should have gone with the red herring. He always had a soft stomach. It's really no surprise that he couldn't keep down a good rare steak. Do you have another question? Yes. What was your relation to Monsieur Grenouille? We're business partners. Monsieur Grenouille, Signor Piertois de Miao, and myself all owned a third of the share in the upcoming railway. Excuse the crassness of the question, but that means you and Signor Piertois now own half the company. Correct. I suppose it's a slight glimmer of benefit that arose from the foul situation. But, Monsieur, you must understand that Grenouille and I were friends as much as we were business associates. I mourn the man's passing. Of course. Do you have another question? No. Dang it, we need to figure it out. The housemaids discovered the pair. Did we ask about the garden? I think we asked about the garden, I don't know. Does she smoke? Well, that question came out of nowhere? Definitely not. Mademoiselle Too Hot detests the smell. I see. Putting together a big picture, are we? I think so. The pieces are slowly falling into place. Do you have another question about the housemaid? Your housemaid is a thief. She has stolen numerous valuables from your household. That's not a question. Let me rephrase that. Baron, why didn't you immediately report to the police when you discovered your housemaid was stealing for you? Is a man obligated to report every act of theft that they witness? Well, not legally, I suppose. I chose not to incriminate the poor girl because I felt it would be needlessly harsh. I know letting a criminal run loose is a foreign concept to many of you lawyer types, but I'm not sure you understand the concept of mercy. Okay, no. The garden. I think we haven't asked about the garden. We saw the murder scene in your garden for ourselves. What's with all the horse? When was the last time you ventured into your own garden? As it happens, I have quite serious allergies. I haven't been in my own garden for years. Years, you say? Indeed. Baron, I do not wish to call you a liar. That claim does not hold up to scrutiny. Oh, and why is that? Because we have hard evidence that you visited the garden recently. Balderdash! My word is gold! Show the court this so-called hard evidence that I have been in my garden. Is that the cigar? This was found in your garden. To be specific, it was found inside the fountain basin. Right beside where the murder occurred!
It's cigar butt. That could belong to anybody.
Prosecutor, please shut your mouth. I can speak for myself.
Okay, sorry, Baron.
That is indeed the remnants of one of my cigars, but I must apologize, Monsieur Falcon, for I misunderstood your initial question. You see, prior to the banquet, I hadn't visited my own garden in years. But naturally, after hearing the housemaid's cry for help on the evening of the murder, I rushed outside. I was shocked and disgusted by what I saw. That must have been when I dropped my half-smoked cigar in the fountain basin.
You see, Falcon, there's a perfectly reasonable explanation.
I would find it believable if the cigar were casually discarded, but as it happened, the cigar butt was found in the fountain's upper basin, a location that can only be accessed with great inconvenience, and a little paddling. The cigar butt was not dropped, it was deliberately hidden. There are any number of possible explanations. Are there? Because I can only think of one. That is, you, Baron, deliberately hid your cigar butt to disguise your own illicit activities. Did I now? And what illicit activities would those be? Want me to spell it out? Fine, let's put it on the table. You, Baron, murdered Monsieur Greenway. That is where you were trying to keep hidden. Directly accusing me of murder? How shamelessly brazen!
That is a ludicrous accusation, Falcon. The Baron is a upstanding citizen of highest order. You have means or motive or...
No evidence. Every piece of evidence points to Baron Rogueil as a prime suspect. The means? He had the means. His lion's claws are as sharp as a surgeon's blade. Gutting a frog belly would be trivial to him. Even Monsieur Rabino confessed just moments that he feared his claws.
Ridiculous!
I would never threaten a man with violence. You want a motive? The Baron had at least 10,000 francs worth of a motive. By removing a business partner, the Baron's share of the railway company increased from 1